This is Eyewitness News on LA56 with live breaking news.
Breaking news, wounded and bleeding, a pursuit suspect who exchanged gunfire with sheriff's deputies finally surrenders after a long, tense standoff with authorities.
Good evening, I'm Mark Brown.
And I'm Ruta Shabazi. David and Colleen are off. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m.
You saw it happening live streaming on ABC7.com. The suspect gave himself up after a long and difficult pursuit. Let's get more now from Bill Thomas in Air 7 HD.
Mark, that was an incredible afternoon, a high-speed pursuit through South LA. It was a kidnapping suspect in that white SUV. It came to an end here on 43rd Street just off of Vermont Avenue. The suspect jumped out of that SUV. LA County Sheriff's deputies say he had a weapon, which we think we see right there on the front porch of that house, and that's when Sheriff's deputies tell us they shot that suspect. Let's go to tape. Suspect shot and injured, bleeding profusely in his front and his back as well. Suspect here, his hands are up in the air. It took quite a while, well over an hour and a quarter, but he finally surrendered to SWAT deputies, taken into custody, and now here's what happened before all of that happened. This was a wild pursuit all out of South LA, and here you can see the suspect jumping out of his car, and this, I believe, is where that shooting happened on 43rd Street, just off of Vermont. 43rd between Vermont and Menlo. As he jumped out of the car, he brandished that weapon. That's when LA County Sheriff's deputies shot at him. Here you can see him walking up toward the house. Blood you might be able to see on his T-shirt. He took off one shirt, kept the second shirt on, but there was a lot of blood all over his body, a lot of blood on the ground as well. Here he is standing on the front porch of that house. For quite a while, he would not cooperate or communicate effectively with LA County Sheriff's deputies, but they brought the Bearcat in, the armored vehicle, and they were able to finally convince that suspect to surrender. Back to our live shot. That suspect has been transported to a hospital. Here's the big picture. 43rd running left to right in the middle of your screen, and then Menlo on your left. That's Vermont Avenue off to your right, still surrounded by dozens and dozens of LA County Sheriff's deputies. Fortunately, none of the deputies were injured. The suspect was shot by deputies. He has been taken into custody and hospitalized this afternoon. Reporting live from Air 7 HD over South LA, I'm Bill Thomas, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Bill Thomas, thank you very much for that live report. As we look at the scene right now, you do see that 43rd Street is still closed between Menlo and Vermont. Of course, this all began, it was a report of a kidnapping suspect who had that white Chevy Tahoe. He led police on a pursuit, actually LA County Sheriff's deputies on a pursuit through various parts of South Los Angeles. It was very erratic. He was driving into oncoming traffic repeatedly. He, at various points, was very close to hitting people. He nearly hit a skateboarder at one point, and they did deploy a spike strip which did get one of his tires. It was a left front tire on the driver's side of the car. That tire flattened, and we think that that may have had some impact on his decision to end the pursuit, or at least to come to a stop, although we're also hearing reports that he may have lived at this house, this duplex. Let's get more now from Eyewitness News reporter Amy Powell at the scene. Amy.
Well, Mark, you can imagine a pretty frightening situation for this entire neighborhood. A lot of streets shut down around here. A lot of people were evacuated. People were standing here on street corners wondering what has been happening out here. And just a moment ago, I spoke with a young man. I'm going to bring in Jorge Gonzalez, because, Jorge, you were in the area when this all started. Tell me about where you were and what you saw.
Well, I was coming from my cousin through Normandy, and then all of a sudden this Chevy tinted car just came out of nowhere. He almost hit a pedestrian, but I was just trying to see if he's all right. But they were going through a house, through the streets, the Chevy car just stopped, and then out came out a guy just giving like threats to these officers. And then I tried to stay awake just in case something happened. So I was just like, didn't know what was going on. So I did come on because I can't get home.
Did you see him fire his gun, or what happened when he got
I didn't see any fire from his gun, but I just saw any movements. But the officers just started shooting. That's all I know right now.
And so at that point, you look for a place to protect yourself?
Yeah, because, like, I don't know, because it could be dangerous out here, and then this is what happens here in LA.
And how close is this to where you were trying to get to?
Like a couple of blocks, the other side, and like 45th Street down, but yeah, this came upon.
Were there a lot of people around when you saw this and when you saw this guy jump out?
I wasn't paying attention, but there was quite enough traffic at that hour because people coming out of work. I just came out of work, and yeah, and especially for people coming out of school, but it wasn't like as bad as things. There wasn't much kids out there, which is pretty good.
So now you're just waiting for the roads to clear. So
yeah, I'm just waiting for the road clear because I just, try to get to places and try to be safe here. But the officers are doing a good job here.
All right. right, very good, Jorge. Glad you are safe. So once again, a lot of people around here, if we look around here, you can see that on almost every corner here, we're at 42nd place in Menlo. Every corner here at this intersection, a lot of people waiting here by the police state, wondering, hoping that they can get back into their homes, and glad to hear, obviously, that the danger is at an end at this point. Reporting live in South Los Angeles, Amy Powell, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Amy, thank you. And we will continue to bring you the latest information on the standoff as it becomes available. For updates anytime, log on to our website, abc7.com.
Our other big story tonight, 9 teenage boys have been arrested after a series of alleged sexual assaults against 2 students at Venice High School, and more arrests are expected. Eyewitness News reporter Alex Michelson is live at the Pacific Division Police Station with some shocking accusations. Alex.
Well, Mark, speaking of more arrests are expected, we have some new information. There has now just been a 10th arrest. That's because one of the suspects has turned himself in. That means 10 total arrests. Police still searching for 4 suspects they believe to be part of this sexual assault incident. What's not clear is if any of the men who have been arrested will be charged as adults. Police head onto campus at Venice High School and arrest 8 boys under 17 years old for sexual assault. Another is arrested off campus.
They came and got the kid out of his second period class.
Shocking. Feels shocking.
Any type of issues pertaining to sexual misconduct on any of our campuses will not be tolerated.
The victims, 2 female students under 17.
Some of these were forced sexual acts, sexual assaults. Others were consensual with individuals who are too young to give consent.
It's bad. This is like the baddest thing you could do.
Several students say the alleged sexual assaults were shared on Instagram posts.
One picture go to the whole school. I feel like this is the kind of situation that happened here.
Police will not confirm or deny that.
We have some physical evidence of these incidents, but we're not prepared to discuss what that is, and we're certainly not prepared to disclose that.
The superintendent of the LAUSD, Ramon Cortina, says that today is a painful day, not only for Venice High School, but for the entire district. Reporting live from Los Angeles, Alex Michelson, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Alex, thank you. The unseasonably warm conditions helped fuel a small brush fire in Malibu this afternoon. The slow-moving fire broke out in the hills above Pacific Coast Highway, but it was in a remote area and didn't threaten any buildings. So far, it's burned at least 9 acres. It's about 80% contained. PCH was closed near Topanga Canyon Boulevard for a short time as a precaution, but it is now back open.
The extreme heat could spell trouble for thousands of runners in Sunday's LA Marathon. Many are taking precautions, and the race itself has been moved up and out to an earlier start time. Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez shows us what they're up against.
Today's temps give new meaning to this morning's exercise, a warm-up race. Officials say by Sunday, the heat, coupled with hours of exertion, could get downright dangerous. For a typical LA marathon, LA Fire reports about 20 emergency transports. Now, multiply that by 5. That's the increase recorded last year when the mercury hit the mid-80s.
When we've had extensive heat like this, I believe we transported over 100 people.
Fire crews are prepared to open hydrants to create makeshift cooling stations. Runners are alerted to monitor themselves and others around them for signs of trouble.
They are, maybe slowing down, they're bent over, they're, maybe look like they have some alteration of the, of their consciousness, for example.
With record-breaking heat, we wondered if the runners from Kenya might be better conditioned than the rest of the field. Alan Caprono's time was 3 minutes behind the winner in an unusually hot marathon in Frankfurt.
The last 2 kilometers, very bad for me.
Just as concerned, Ogla Kimayo, who placed second in the Amsterdam Marathon.
It matters because you need to drink a lot of water, and it also it can make you not finish the race.
Veterans agree that one of the toughest stretches is in Century City. It is mile 17 with no trees or buildings for shade. But there's no stopping 178 runners who have competed in every single LA marathon, all 29. Doug Healy is one of them.
I train for it, and I'm fit, and I do it, and knock on wood, I've not had any injuries, so, I go for it each time.
There will be other challenges on Sunday, and that is the street closures. The route starts at Dodger Stadium and ends in Santa Monica. Closures begin as early as 3:15 in the morning. Reporting from Hollywood, Miriam Hernandez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
In Orange County, it was a fun-filled day at the beach. The temperature was in the 90s and the water temperature was in the low 60s, so people packed the shores for relief. Lifeguards are expecting tens of thousands of visitors this weekend. Officials say bring extra water to the beach and make sure to stay hydrated. How warm is it going to get? Let's go to our meteorologist, Jonathan Novak, for some answers. Jonathan?
You gotta love that. It's still winter. That guy was the surfer. That was pretty cool. I'd love to have been out there today, and hopefully you had a chance to make it out there this weekend. You'll have another chance because temperatures like these ones here are going to persist on through Saturday and Sunday. We had 90 in Los Angeles, 91 Long Beach, 92 Camarillo, 91 Oxnard, and 89 Santa Maria. Those are all records that we broke today. Those are your high temperatures. Right now it is 79 in Long Beach. We head into Van Nuys. It is 83 still. Right now, it's your current temperature. A little bit of a breeze, about 10 to 15 miles an hour. You'll have that tonight through tomorrow. I'd say a little bit. It's going to taper off, and the temperatures are still going to be hot. Tomorrow, in fact, I'm going to say warmer than you saw today. Right now, this evening, generally in the upper 70s, lower 80s, 83 Fullerton, 84 Temecula. Tomorrow, more records. I'll tell you about that in the 7-day forecast when it finally cools down, coming up in a few.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you. And use the free ABC7 Mega Doppler weather app to get the latest temperatures. Download it from the iTunes App Store or Google Play. Search Mega Doppler.
Still to come, a runaway bride. The groom left at the altar because he failed a pop math quiz on his wedding day. We'll explain.
And amazing footage captures a landslide near an airport runway. Why authorities fear things could get worse.
3.1415926535897.
And this Caltech student certainly knows his pie. Do you know why tomorrow's date of 314 is extra special? Details coming up.
Oh my God. Oh, dude. Oh, the power line! The power lines, guys! The power line!
Amazing footage captures a landslide near the runway at West Virginia's Yeager Airport. The landslide forced dozens of homes in the area to be evacuated. It began Sunday but broke loose yesterday, taking out power lines, trees, a church, and an unoccupied home. Authorities fear heavy rains could make things worse. So far, no flights at the airport have been affected.
One of the women who says she is a victim of Bill Cosby asked Nevada lawmakers to support a bill lifting the statute of limitations on sexual assault. Lisa,
you have the power to help us. I urge you to use that power for the greater good. And the good is to empower victims so we can become survivors. Thank you.
Her name is Lisa Lottie Lublin. She says that in a Las Vegas hotel in 1989, Cosby gave her 2 drinks, that she passed out and woke up at home. After hearing multiple women claim Cosby had sexually assaulted them, she filed a police report this January, but was told too much time had passed. The statute of limitations on reporting sexual assault in Nevada is 4 years. A state legislator has drafted a bill that would eliminate that deadline. Cosby has denied some of the allegations against him through attorneys.
Kanye West has agreed to pay travel and hotel expenses for a paparazzo suing him for assault. The cost will cover the postponement of the trial to April 14th. The postponement is due to scheduling issues involving West's attorney. Daniel Ramos sued the rapper after a scuffle at LAX in 2013. Ramos alleges his right hip was injured when West punched him and wrestled his camera to the ground. West's attorney says Ramos provoked him.
Tropical cyclone Pam, a massive Category 5 storm, has made landfall on the small island of Vanuatu. Evacuation alerts have been issued for several parts of the country. Pam has sustained winds of 165 miles an hour and is triggering concerns of torrential rainfall, flooding, and landslides. There have been reports the cyclone caused power and water outages in the capital, Port Vila. Cyclone Pam is one of the strongest ever to hit the South Pacific.
And the big story here, Jonathan, intense record-breaking heat this weekend.
We should be going like this, and instead we're going like, ugh. Yeah.
True.
Thank you. That's meteorology school. They teach you those moves. It's hot. We know that. Temperatures today broke records in many places, in fact, in Ventura County, LA County, Santa Barbara County. Now, tomorrow, more of the same, and in fact, it's going to be hotter. Let's see what happened here. This is our time lapse. You see a few thin high clouds here around Angeles National Forest. As we look at the highs today in downtown, it was 90. Normally, we're at 70. 20 degrees above average is ridiculous. I mean, it's been a tough winter already without the rain. Now we're contending with the complete opposite, the heat. 80 right now in downtown. It's a comfortable evening. So you got that. 84 in Ojai, 81 in Burbank, and still 83 in Fullerton, 86 in Palm Springs. Wow. I mean, it is feeling like summer out there. High pressure is the weather maker. It's going to increase in its intensity, so to speak, for tomorrow. This is it right here. You see this ridge underneath these clouds, this arc? That ridge of high pressure, it's allowing actually some clouds to stream on. It's what we call a dirty ridge when you get some of these high clouds moving into Southern California. So we'll have those in place for tomorrow and Sunday. So it's not going to be completely sunny, which actually might help a little bit in terms of keeping the temperatures down. But as high pressure is over us for Sunday and Monday, we're still going to remain hot. It's not until Tuesday that we start seeing a little bit of a cool down. For tomorrow, let me show you some of these numbers. 94 in Anaheim. Look for your high in LA to be about 92. Same in Irvine, Mission Viejo, 92. 93 in Riverside. And we should top out around 96 in Palm Springs. Your 70 forecast for LA Metro and Orange County, powered up by AccuWeather. Hot tomorrow. Still hot on Sunday, although we will cool it down. The marathon's on Sunday, so in the morning time, about 63 to wake you up, and by the afternoon, about 1 p.m. or so, it should be around 88. Wow, still hot. Monday, we cool it a little bit more. And then finally, back into the 70s on Tuesday as that ridge of high pressure breaks down and allows for that onshore flow to push in to the area, Southern California area. For your valleys and IE forecast, 93 to 95 tomorrow. More records should fall. Hot again on Sunday, 89. 88 on Monday, and then finally back in the upper 70s to around 80 on Tuesday. Finally, closer to average by Wednesday. The beach looks good. If you're out the beach today, you know it's really nice there. We saw some of that footage just a little while ago. And another beach day tomorrow and Sunday. Fantastic even into Monday. No rain in the mountains, no snow in the mountains, just a few clouds. 60s for 4 days. Mild. Call that warm for the mountains. And 50s from Wednesday on. In the high desert, 3 days of 80s, very warm. Just a little bit of a breeze tomorrow, and then another breeze kicking in next Wednesday, temperatures into the 70s. That's it, guys. Shorts, T-shirts, water.
Okay. Will do. Thank you. All right, Jonathan. A man in India was left standing at the altar when his bride-to-be walked out on their wedding. The reason she left, he failed a math question. The woman wanted to make sure he'd been truthful about his level of education, so she asked him to solve an equation. Pretty tough requirement, right? Well, not exactly. The problem she posed to him was a simple one. How much is 15 plus 6? He answered 17. Marriage off. Police even had to be called in to mediate the return of gifts exchanged by the families before the ceremony.
I still think she was looking for an excuse. Well, are you ready to celebrate? Tomorrow is National Pi Day, and we're not talking about pi, P-I-E. We mean pi, P-I, the magical mathematical number that goes on for infinity. A big celebration is cooking for a special occasion you may not have heard about.
National Pie Day?
Yes, tomorrow is Pie Day. Not this kind of pie. We're talking this kind of pie.
3.1415926535897.
Tomorrow is 3/14, and more specifically 3/14/15. It happens once in a century. Coincidentally, this would have been the 136th birthday of Albert Einstein.
It's not really Pie Day, it's Pow Over 2 Day.
Details. There's a lot of pie love on the Caltech campus.
It's a way to, celebrate math knowledge.
Accordingly, preparations are underway on campus.
The next three numbers in pi are 5 times 535, and that equals, 175? So we're serving 175 pies at 9:26 p.m.
And it's not just Caltech. At Milliken Middle School in Sherman Oaks, they celebrated today, eating pie and even throwing it.
Tomorrow's National Pie Day.
At Pie and Burger in Pasadena, owner Michael Osborne and crew are gearing up for a lot more of their specialty. One couple even using them to plan their pie wedding.
2 years ago, it started to take off, and last year it was just off the charts. People were literally walking in the door one after another to pick up pies to take for Pie Day.
Of course, there are the practical uses of pie. If you want to figure out how the Earth rotates, or anytime you need to calculate the distance around a circle, you need the formula. The numbers extending infinitely with no pattern.
7950-2884-197-1693-993.
And this, again, is literally the most perfectly timed pie of the century. So grab a slice of your favorite pie to celebrate tomorrow at 9:26 and 53 seconds if you want to be really exact about it.
Oh, and I, of course, do. Wow. Ahead here on Eyewitness News, could your favorite sweet treat be contaminated? We have an ice cream recall to tell you about.
And Pope Francis talks about serving only a few years as the leader of the Catholic Church. We'll tell you why.
Plus, some answers in the controversy surrounding novelist Harper Lee. Will tell you if there is evidence of elder abuse.
Pope Francis marked his second anniversary by predicting a short term as leader of the Roman Catholic Church. In an interview with Mexican broadcaster Televisa, the Pope said his pontificate will be 4 or 5 years. He said he needs 2 more years to make necessary changes to the church. He said he doesn't dislike being Pope, but that he misses his freedom. He'd like to go get pizza without anyone recognizing him. Also today, the Pope announced a special Jubilee year for the church to focus on mercy and forgiveness. That starts December 8th.
Novelist Harper Lee is expected to release her second book in June. The news comes after Alabama investigators concluded the 88-year-old was not the victim of elder abuse. Lee is the author of the classic To Kill a Mockingbird. For decades, she claimed she would never write another novel. Many questioned Lee's mental state, and some of her friends claimed she was being manipulated by her lawyer. State investigators apparently didn't find evidence supporting those claims. Lee's publisher says the book, Go Set a Watchman, will be released this summer. A new biography about Apple founder Steve Jobs reveals he refused to accept a liver transplant from current Apple CEO Tim Cook. According to the book, Becoming Steve Jobs in 2009, Cook underwent tests to see if he could donate a piece of his liver to Jobs, but Jobs refused Cook's offer, saying he would never let him do that. The book says Cook called Jobs' decision selfless. Jobs eventually received a liver transplant but died in 2011.
We're updating the evening's top stories next at 7:30, including the latest on that pursuit that turned into a standoff. It all ended less than an hour ago. We're live at the scene.
Plus, a woman from Murrieta learns her sentence for scamming people with a cancer hoax, but not before she hears from some victims.
And a local elementary school teacher appears in court. What authorities say he did to a student.
This is Eyewitness News on LA56 with live breaking news.
Our top story at 7:30, a kidnapping suspect wounded in an exchange of gunfire with deputies surrenders. I'm Rudibe Shabazi.
I'm Mark Brown. David and Colleen are off tonight. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7:30 p.m. Here's a live look at the scene where this pursuit ended, and this earlier was bristling with sheriff's deputies and special weapons officers as we look at some tape from earlier. All of their weapons trained on one man who had shot at them at the end of a high-speed pursuit. The standoff lasted for quite a while, more than an hour. He had been wounded in that standoff. You see here what was going on. He nearly hit pedestrians, and then he bailed out in front of a home. We are being told in some reports that this is actually his home. Now, this is where it got really crazy because he pulled out a weapon, a handgun, and according to witnesses, fired 4 shots at sheriff's deputies. Then they shot at him and hit him. He was shot and wounded, sat on the front porch of this duplex for the better part of an hour, refusing to give up. That handgun inches away from him on his left-hand side. Then, after a while, the Sheriff's Department Special Weapons team got there. They brought in a heavy vehicle called, I believe it's called a Bear. They used that to get close to the suspect and communicate with him. They managed to get him to finally give up. He staggered toward the front of the house without his weapon, and they were ultimately able to take him into custody. This has been a very harrowing evening for people who live nearby, people who had to evacuate to safety. Eyewitness News reporter Amy Powell is live near the scene. She's talked to some of those neighbors. Amy.
Mark, we're about a block away from where that suspect went onto the porch of that home. You can see the police tape is still up here. A lot of people still standing on the street corners as authorities continue their investigation. I can tell you a number of people pretty shaken up by this incident. They heard the gunfire, and some of them tell me they even saw that suspect. Now, take a look. Earlier, when that armed suspect was still on the porch of that home in a standoff with police, a SWAT team started going door to door, evacuating neighboring homes. Now, again, they were doing that as a precaution because that suspect was armed and they didn't know what might take place, and they certainly wanted to make sure the many people who live in this area were not in danger. And I spoke to a couple of people who actually saw that armed suspect when he was in his vehicle.
He stopped in the middle of the street. As he was giving threats to officers, just waving. I think he was holding something. I couldn't tell it was a knife or a gun because it was just barbed. And then I just came out these patrol cars to back us up because they were about to fire because he was just giving threats. So I just got my distance.
I saw the guy got out of his car, started shooting, and then was yelling at the police officers. And then he went to this house and sat down and started smoking.
So again, things starting to settle down here. It appears that a number of people have returned to their homes, but again, the police tape remains in place as the investigation into this shooting continues out here. Reporting live in South Los Angeles, Amy Powell, ABC7 Eyewitness.
Amy, thank you. A Murrieta woman who falsely claimed she was dying of cancer and started a fundraising drive was sentenced today. Thousands of dollars poured in from unsuspecting donors. Inland Empire reporter Leticia Juarez was in the courtroom where they had a chance to speak out.
Christina Lagman's attorney quickly hid her from the view of cameras in the courtroom during her sentencing. The Murrieta woman admitting she faked having cancer for financial gain. Her victims telling a judge she duped them out of time and money.
Christina Lagman preyed upon a community that has always rallied together to help those in need. She's caused us to doubt.
Last November, Lagman posted her cancer story on Facebook. According to her post, she was dying of terminal cancer and facing financial hardship. Giovanni Stefani stepped in to help her after losing his 2-year-old son to cancer 21 years ago.
And if it were me handing down a sentence, I would make you serve time in a children's oncology ward so you can see what families, caregivers, the roller coaster they got to ride through every day.
Sunny Allman helped organize a fundraiser at a local comedy club while her own father was battling liver cancer.
And Christina forbade me to discuss my dad with her. She was dying now, and he had months.
Lagman pled guilty as part of a plea deal. Instead of serving 3 years, the maximum sentence for the crime, she was given 214 days in county jail, time served. Neither Lagman or her attorney has given any explanation for the hoax.
I don't think that our community should support her anymore financially, and keeping her locked up would mean we have to support her.
As part of her sentencing, Lagman was not ordered to pay any fines. Instead, the judge wants her to pay restitution to the victims, totaling more than $10,000. Reporting in Murrieta, Leticia Juarez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A former fourth-grade teacher appeared in court today, charged with one count of child abuse. 37-year-old Selmo Garcia is accused of placing a plastic bag over a 10-year-old girl's head in class. The former teacher at Rosewood Elementary School was removed from his position last month and was arrested Wednesday. Parents we spoke with say he is a good teacher, and this has confused them.
I can't believe that he did it, especially not in a angry or with malice or in trying to hurt the kid in any way. He is a very playful, fun type of person.
If convicted, Garcia faces up to 6 years in state prison.
Grief counselors had to be called in today after a 15-year-old boy was stabbed and killed near Long Beach Middle School. The victim was a freshman at nearby Cabrillo High School. Eyewitness News reporter Q McCrae reports the police say the teen was attacked by an 18-year-old who was trying to steal his backpack.
School administrators had every Cabrillo High student's bag checked this morning, a precautionary measure, they say, after the tragic death of freshman Keyshawn Brooks.
We'll continue to work with law enforcement and make sure that we have a presence as long as it's needed so we can make sure that students can come to and from school safely.
Everyone we spoke to considered the 15-year-old a good all-around person.
He was a good guy. He always was nice to everybody.
I never thought something like this would happen to him. He's really innocent and he has a lot of friends.
It was 3:30 p.m. yesterday when Long Beach police got the 911 call. Investigators say Keyshawn was walking home from school when he was attacked and stabbed by an alleged gang member on Santa Fe Avenue. Stevens Middle School was letting out at the time. Parents rushed over to help Keyshawn, who later died at the hospital. His father acknowledged them at a news conference.
My son was not a gang member. This was a murder, and he did not deserve this. And to the people who came to his aid, I would like to thank you very much.
The murder happened more than a mile away from Cabrillo High. Still, students walking to class this morning feared for their safety in what they call a gang-infested area.
It's sad that you can't even go to school and be safe. You got to watch your back around the school.
Now I have to really look around because the other day I just got jacked for my phone and chain and stuff right down that street right there.
Parents told us there's only so much they can do to protect their children.
I'm afraid, I'm scared. I don't know what else I can do other than educating her about, her surroundings and being aware. And
the Long Beach Police Department arrested Giovanni Montalongo for the crime. He remains in jail right now. He's 18 years old and an alleged gang member. In Long Beach, I'm Q McCrae, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Health officials are on alert after 5 confirmed cases of hepatitis A in Napa. 2 people who contracted the disease are restaurant employees at the Westin Hotel. No customers have reported contracting the virus, but the symptoms don't usually surface until a month after the exposure. Hepatitis A can be contracted through contaminated food and drink. If you ate at one of the 2 restaurants in the Napa Westin Hotel in February, you are asked to closely monitor your health. A major recall from ice cream giant Bluebell. The company has halted production and distribution of 8 products linked to a bacterium that causes severe illness. 3 people have already died. The FDA says Listeria bacteria were found in samples of blue chocolate chip country cookies, Great Divide bars, Sour Pop green apple bars, cotton candy bar scoops, vanilla stick slices, almond bars, and no sugar added moo bars. This is the first product recall in the Texas Creamery's 108-year history.
Need something to do this weekend? Why not see a movie?
Still to come, we'll run down what's new in theaters for you.
Plus, we'll show you what NASA sent into space and tell you what it will study.
Jonathan Novak here. Hey, it was hot today. I will tell you right now, temperatures are going up for the weekend. Details on the record-breaking heat coming up.
Rihanna is taking on a new challenge, this one in the world of fashion. She's going to represent Christian Dior. The French fashion house says the 27-year-old music star will appear in an upcoming print and video ad campaign. It's set to be filmed in Versailles. The new campaign is slated to run in the spring.
This weekend's new movies include another Liam Neeson action thriller, plus a new R-rated comedy.
And a family-friendly PG-rated film based on a classic fairy tale. Entertainment guru George Pinocchio runs down what's new in theaters.
They're all looking at you.
Believe me, they're all looking at you.
Cinderella is a new take on the animated Disney classic of 65 years ago. Lily James plays the title role. In the director's seat, Kenneth Branagh.
From the moment I heard her voice, I knew that we'd met somebody special.
Cinderella! That's what we'll call you.
Oh, girls, you're too clever.
Branagh says Kate Blanchett was already attached to play the evil stepmother when he took the job, and she was an enormous reason he decided to get involved.
She's a magnificent actor. I also knew that she would, as she did, seize the relish of the screen villainy, but also really enjoy, unlocking a sort of inner life to the stepmother that we haven't seen before in quite that same way.
What on earth have you been doing? Dreaming, that's all.
Well then, wake up.
No one in the kingdom will outshine my daughters.
We'll see about that. Cinderella is rated PG.
I'm here asking for my son's life, Sean. He's a good kid. He's got a family. He don't deserve this.
New and in limited release, the action drama Run All Night. Liam Neeson plays a hitman who must save his son from dangerous mobsters who are seeking revenge at any cost. Unfortunately, Neeson's character isn't up against just anyone. He faces his brutal former boss, played by Ed Harris. Run All Night is rated R.
I really messed up. Can we talk about this?
Yes, there's only one thing to do. You have to kill her.
In Home Sweet Hell, a husband and wife from the suburbs turn to murder after an affair one of them has threatens to ruin their storybook image. As they try to hide the murder, they quickly realize they are in over their heads. Katherine Heigl, Patrick Wilson, and Jordana Brewster star in this R-rated comedy. George Pinocchio, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Ahead on Eyewitness News, another look at your weekend forecast as temperatures continue to soar.
And is last weekend's time change messing up your sleep schedule? Is daylight saving time even really necessary? We have some answers.
And in sports, the Clippers try to remain hot in Dallas. All your highlights next.
A beautiful blast-off from Cape Canaveral. An unmanned Atlas rocket lifted off last night carrying NASA's magnetospheric multi-scale spacecraft into orbit. I don't know what that means. The goal of the billion-dollar mission is to better understand, is to better understand the Earth's and Sun's magnetic fields. There are going to be 4 identical probes. They're going to fly in formation to study magnetic reconnection. It's a little understood phenomenon that drives the aurora borealis as well as potentially disruptive solar storms.
That's a mouthful. You can explain it to me later.
I will.
And let's head over to Jonathan Novak for a check on this weekend's temperatures.
Feels like we're in a solar storm. Feels like we got a solar flare right over us with the temperatures we had today. Hey, Laguna Beach. Clouds out, some high clouds. Why? Well, that high pressure ridge that's keeping us really warm has actually let in a few clouds of the day today. We'll have those tomorrow. We're going to have more of this tomorrow, too. Temperatures in the 90s. Today it was 90 in Los Angeles, 91 in Long Beach, 92 Camarillo. These are all records, by the way, that we hit today. 91 Oxnard, 89 Santa Maria. So let's talk about some heat wave tips. We know this stuff, but it's always nice to get the reminder just to stay cool and slow down. We've got the marathon this weekend, and I think they pushed it back a little bit, right? The temperatures are going to be hot on Sunday, but try to keep any of the outdoor activities to the early morning time and the early evening time during the cooler times of the day. Dress light, eat light as well, and that'll help with that sort of inner temperature and the metabolism, and of course water. Water, always be hydrated. This weekend it's going to be hot. We're going to see more numbers like this. It is in the lower 80s still right now. 83 in Fullerton, 83 in Van Nuys, and it is still in Palm Springs, 86 degrees as I step out of the way there. 79 in Long Beach. So this high pressure ridge is not going anywhere. We've got about 3 more days of temperatures in the upper 80s, lower 90s. Look at this. It extends all the way into the center part of the country, this big arc right here. Here are those clouds I told you about, those thin high clouds that are moving in on the top of that ridge. So we'll have those for Saturday and Sunday, but they're not going to do much in the way of keeping it cool. In fact, tomorrow's going to be hotter than it was today. Look for about 92 in Los Angeles. I'm forecasting the same in Northridge, 93 Pasadena, Ontario, San Bernardino, Riverside, all in the lower to mid-90s, 92 Mission Viejo, and then 82 Dana Point. 7-day forecast for LA Metro and Orange County, powered up by AccuWeather. A small breeze tomorrow in the inland areas, but 92 otherwise. 88 on Sunday is another hot temperature. By the way, these are about 20 degrees above the average high temperature, where we should be this time of year. By Tuesday, we're back into the 70s finally. Wednesday on, lower 70s, but still either at or above average, those numbers. No rain, a few clouds. That's it. That's the best I can do for you. Valleys and IE, 93 is a hot temperature tomorrow, the hottest of the forecast. Records are going to be broken tomorrow. Maybe on Sunday, probably not on Monday, but next Tuesday, maybe a couple. But Tuesday on, things really start cooling down at that point, back into the 70s by Wednesday. The beach, really nice beach day today. Tomorrow the same, and Sunday as well. Just a few clouds. The thicker cloud cover comes in on Tuesday in through Friday next week, where we'll start seeing the temperatures cool down as well with an onshore flow moving in. And the mountains, no snow, no rain, just a dry, mostly sunny forecast. Breezy, temperatures in the 60s for 4 more days, way above average for you as well. In the high desert, winds kicking up a little tomorrow, just a little, about 15 to 20 at times. And 3 days in the 80s is another warm one for you guys in the high desert, finally back into the 70s by Tuesday. Try to stay hydrated and as cool as you can.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Well, you couldn't ask for a nicer day for the spring games. West Adam Preparatory on West Washington Boulevard played host today. The LAUSD and the Special Olympics of Southern California teamed up to offer competitions for students with intellectual disabilities or other special needs. Watch this little guy who has his own version of the long jump. This year's event wraps up with a 6-week athletic track and field training program. Many of the participants will be volunteering at the 2015 Special Olympics Summer Games.
More sports now, with the Lakers flirting with the league's worst record. At least fans who crave success have the Clippers to cheer for. Tonight, with a win over Dallas, the Clips could reach 20 games above 500. DeAndre Jordan is known for living high above the rim, but tonight the big fella launched from the outside. Here he is, his first ever three-pointer. Jordan with 16 points on the evening, and later the Clippers showcased some defense. Chris Paul headed the other direction, eventually fed Matt Barnes for an easy throwdown here, but the Clips' 7-point lead evaporated within just 12 minutes as the Mavs capped off a 38-point quarter when Monte Ellis gets the hoop and the foul. Clips never stood a chance in this one. They lost by 30. Your Clipper Cup runneth over, and part of a Sunday NBA doubleheader. First it's the Bulls and the Thunder, then it's the Rockets and the Clippers. After that game, Michael Cooper and Lisa Leslie will join Rob Fukuzaki on the Sports Zone on ABC7, and Kurt Sandoval will have live Clipper interviews from Staples Center. A titan of local sports talk radio is now silent. The Big Nasty, Joe McDonnell, whose career spanned 4 decades, passed away today. McDonnell's familiar voice could be heard on several LA stations, but his weight was as big as his on-air personality. McDonnell ballooned to more than 740 pounds before losing 400 pounds with surgery 5 years ago. Magic Johnson once invited him into a closed Laker locker room. Joe McDonnell was 58. To Minnesota we go now, where the Ducks are at home with the Wild. First period, Francois Beauchemin tees it up and drills the puck into the back of the net. 1-0, good guys. Midway through the second period, the Wild just got sloppy, and the Ducks capitalized as Jacob Silverberg tips it past the Minnesota goaltender. The Ducks hold on. They won it 2-1. They snapped a 3-game losing skid. Excuse me. And finally now to Tampa, where this guy had the best view of the golf has to offer. Jonathan Bird, also Bird. Yeah, he deserves some screen time. This is what he did on the par 3 15th hole today. 2 hops, and that's just a hole-in-one. Only the 10th in the history of the tournament, but the 3rd on the tour the past 2 weeks. Brandon DeYoung leads the way at 6 under par with 36 holes to play this weekend.
Do you ever have one of those days when all you want to do is take a nap? Well, today is the day to indulge yourself without feeling guilty. Our Rob Hayes, who's always got his eyes wide open, explains why.
Life these days seems to be stuck in fast forward. We live in a 24/7 world that seems to always gain speed. But one thing we're not gaining is sleep, which is a good thing to point out since today is World Sleep Day.
Really? Well, I need to be in bed then.
Apparently, we all need to be in bed. Just ask sleep specialist Dr. Charles Imbus.
Americans get about 5 to 6 hours of sleep. 7 is the key number. Less than 7, you don't live as long.
But talk to people around the L.A. area, and you'll find plenty of sleep-deprived warriors.
I think I probably get maybe 6 hours of sleep per night.
5-6 hours a night?
I guess average 6 hours.
I make up for it on the weekends if I can. I don't know, does that work?
No.
She's right. Dr. Imbus says it takes much more than just a couple days to restore any sleep shortfalls, and that leads to a long list of problems.
Irritation, lack of focus, distractibility, and poor memory.
Of course, it doesn't help that daylight saving time just sprang us forward, waking us up an hour earlier.
That gives me kind of another hour and a half or so to be out in the backyard and do something outside.
But when it comes to daylight saving time, most of the people we spoke with are sick and tired of it, or at least tired. Their message to the time police: leave our clocks alone.
I'm not sure why we do that anymore.
Stop it. Stop messing with our time. We're good.
But our sleep times are not. Dr. Imbus says power naps can help, but you have to focus on getting those magic 7 hours of sleep each night.
You can't cheat Mother Nature.
And you can't beat the clock. But it doesn't mean folks aren't trying.
There's 24 hours in a day, and you have to prioritize, and I guess, unfortunately, sleep isn't one of them.
In Pasadena, Rob Hayes, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
More news straight ahead here at 7:30 and ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. Much more on our breaking news. A wild pursuit ends with the suspect in a shootout with the sheriff's deputies and a dangerous standoff at a South LA home. Tonight, what we've learned about the gunman. Plus, a motorcycle chase that went off-road and into the mall and had shoppers running. These stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. Do you have a question for Mayor Eric Garcetti? He'll be our guest on an upcoming edition of Eyewitness Newsmakers. You can submit your question at abc7.com/newsmakers, and he could answer it on the show.
We're getting our first look at a brand new Polynesian island. It's about 40 miles southwest of the main island of Tonga. If you're wondering how you get a new island, well, this one was formed by the eruption of an underwater volcano, which produced some new rock formations. The island has only been in existence for a few months, but it's not even deserted anymore. An Italian hotel owner who took these photos set foot on it recently and is already touting its potential as a tourist attraction.
Wow. And in Thailand, this is definitely the catch of the day. A pregnant stingray measuring 14 feet by 8 feet and weighing somewhere between 600 and 800 pounds. It was caught by nature conservationist Jeff Corwin, who hosts the show Ocean Mysteries on ABC. Turns out it's the same stingray caught 6 years ago by a veterinarian who was with Corwin at the time, and it may be the biggest freshwater fish ever caught. After measuring the stingray and inserting a transmitter to track it, they released it back into the water.
We thank you for joining us for Eyewitness News at 7:30 on LA56. Law & Order SVU is next on LA56.
Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7 and anytime on ABC7.com.
Thanks for watching.